All right, welcome to the Snyder Report. I am your host, Gary Snyder. With me tonight, as you can kind of see, next to me. First of all, there's Dr. Terry Goodin. Terry, say hi.
Hello, everybody.
Also joining us tonight, he is the Hamilton County Democrat chair, running back from his meeting tonight, Josh Lowry. Josh, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
So just before, as we're getting started here, just a few housekeeping things. We have a new puppy, and we set the puppy loose in here with us tonight. He is a 10-week-old Great Dane. As Terry said, he looks full-grown already. He's not, but he's getting pretty big. So if you see a dog roaming around in the background next to the fire, you know who it is. So, Terry, how have you been?
I've been doing really well, Gary. It's been watching the news is somewhat frustrating as we continue to see stats for the state of Indiana come in a negative light. I just saw where Indiana now ranks 44th in the nation for weekly wages, and that's 44 on the bad side, not to be at the top, right? So as more and more of these bad statistics continue to come into the state of Indiana, I'm just wondering when everybody's going to be fed up, you know?
I've been wondering that for a while. Josh, how are you been?
I feel like that's a loaded question now, right? It's like on a day-to-day basis, I feel okay, but free speech is no longer allowed. We're going to basically criminalize speaking. My daughter is going to IU, and they were just named the least free speech college in America. So other than that, great.
You got Ball State, my former stomping grounds, firing people for having free thought. But I guess that gets us right into our first topic tonight is Todd Rokita, the defender of free speech. We find out that he isn't, Terry.
Well, I'll tell you what, part of the Attorney General's spot there, and the biggest part of their job is to try to find fraud and try to help Hoosier consumers. So instead of him chasing teachers who may have an opinion about someone, I didn't even know who he was, but anyone who had an opinion about someone, he probably should be trying to track out these large corporations and businesses for fraud, like those who continue to say that they're going to raise and do raise our electric rates beyond the point of no return. And a lot of those situations that are coming up, Gary, I think there's a whole lot going on in the state of Indiana that could probably use his help other than chasing around teachers.
Josh, any thoughts on Todd Rokita and the defender of free speech?
Yeah, so this goes back to he's using his Eyes on Education platform again, right? And this goes back to even if he doesn't get someone fired, right? Like he's putting a target on these people. And I don't mean literal, well, I don't know, I guess, but like at least online, within their community, he's accusing them of things that sometimes they're not even really doing because he is conflating celebrating someone's murder, which I could understand why an employer would have a problem with that, right? With voicing any opinion about Charlie Kirk or even the reaction to people of the reaction to Charlie Kirk, right?
Right.
And earlier today was just looking at the one that he posted. At no point does this teacher celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. At no point do they say it's a good thing. They're talking about the things that were being said. And he's just conflated these two things. And that's kind of the going thing we've seen with Trump for years. And now, unfortunately, Rokita's just doing the same thing here in Indiana.
It seems to me like it went from, people celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, which there were, not this person, not me. I did not like Charlie Kirk. I think he was a horrible person, but at no point did I want him dead, period. But it seems like Todd Rokita, our hall monitor in chief, if any of you have seen the newsletter today, we kind of throw out the Bobby Brady hall monitor meme. But that's kind of what he's turned into because it's gone from celebrating his death to saying anything negative about him, Terry.
Well, it's one of those deals where, I'm probably a pretty fair person to ask about this Charlie Kirk thing because I, honestly never had listened to his podcast, didn't really know who he was when the unfortunate incident happened where he was murdered. That I did hear about that and started seeing his stuff come out. But I mean, he was an ordinary political pundit, right? So negative.
I would not call him ordinary.
All right. All right. See, I didn't even know. I don't know the depth that he goes into, but I don't understand. What I don't understand is how that folks are lifting up a political pundit. I mean, there's all kinds of folks who pass away, and I've never seen them fly Air Force Two for a private citizen and use taxpayer dollars to bring a private citizen from wherever they were at back to their home. And, you know, I was a big Hulk Hogan fan, and after I heard that they went and picked up Charlie Kirk on Air Force Two, I was disappointed. Well, why didn't they go pick up the Hulkster, man? You know, I mean, I don't know how you play favorites like that in political office, and I've always been told that when you run either a Democrat or Republican, but when you become elected, then you represent everyone, right? And right now, our leaders aren't representing everyone. It just seems to be that their opinion is very skewed. And I've never seen the way that they want to bash people. I just don't understand that. And on our side as well, if you're bashing Charlie Kirk and you're a Democrat, shame on you. Nobody should revel in the death of any individual that leaves two children, right? But likewise, if you're a Republican bashing Democrats, shame on you as well. It should be an equal playing field. We shouldn't be bashing anyone, especially when it comes to murder and death and trying to incite violence. And the biggest part I couldn't understand about it is one of our legislators posted the ceremony there. This is how we Republicans celebrate or respect life and death. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. They're the ones that incited the January 6th riots. That's how they
forget about that.
Yeah, they forget about that kind of stuff. So it seems like a double standard. God rest Charlie Kirk. God bless his soul. I hope he was prepared to go on to the next world, and I hope he was right with God. But that's not my choice. That's no one's choice. That's between him and God. So we have to leave it, let it lay, and just tell everybody to shut up about it, right?
Josh, now, and again, maybe I'm not understanding the breadth of Charlie Kirk's reach, but there were 200 people that showed up in Huntington for a candlelight vigil for this guy. Across the state, across the country, it was almost as if they were, I don't even know what to say about it. I'm very rarely speechless, but what the hell are they doing?
So I think that this issue has somehow got overcomplicated, right? Like, on the one hand, I think it's very easy, or not easy. The correct thing is to say, of course, the death of Charlie Kirk was horrendous. But that doesn't change anything that was said. And the difficult thing for me has been seeing, it's not even like taken out of context, his own words. Charlie Kirk said horribly racist stuff.
Horrible.
Very racist stuff. But now he's being held up and celebrated in a way that seems to accept the things that he said. And as far as the large crowds, I do think, look, I know Charlie Kirk was popular. I'm not going to deny that he was. Mm-hmm. I think this has taken on a cultural, which side are you on type thing that has gone beyond his reach. I think there are a lot of people that are showing up to these events that are saying because Trump talked about it more so than, I mean, if he had that many followers, I think he would have been a household name possibly at that point, because the turnout we've seen for these things has been insane. But
see, Josh, if I can, I want to interrupt you real quick, because you just hit on something that's very important here. Okay, so here's my reflection on this, and like I said, I don't know the guy. I didn't know him, wasn't a listener or nothing. But it's almost like they've turned the tragic death of someone into a political event, and it's like, how do you coincide, or how do you combine tragedy with politics, man? It makes no sense.
Well,
and that's shame on
Indiana politicians did exactly that. Jim Banks, Micah Beckwith, Andrew Ireland. You can go down the line.
Can I just jump? Like,
in a second, they've used his death to somehow validate redistricting. Go ahead, Josh.
I mean, actually, that's literally what I was going to bring up. Like, it has been part of the grievance culture. That's been part of Trump's whole thing, right? Charlie Kirk's death was horrific, right? But to them, every time something happens, it's turned into a political tool. Today you had the shooting at the ICE office, and the only people that were killed were detainees. As soon as it happened, you have JD Vance out there saying,
Oh, no.
it's left wing. It's because you're talking about anti-ICE stuff, and everything is just a political football. And this has been the way that Trump has been the entire time. So the fact that this happened, well, the reaction to Charlie Kirk's death does not shock me, because that's always been Trump's MO. If anything happens, I mean, we've seen the same thing, that the poor girl that was killed on the train station in North Carolina. Like, that somehow become a political point, as though they use it against us. Like, nothing that we are saying justifies that death. Like, that's a horrific death. Charlie Kirk's death is horrific. The shooting at ICE office was horrific. There's not any of us that are cheering this on, but they already had these preloaded responses, right? Like, you've heard Stephen Miller go out there and go on these just horrible diatribes about how this is why there's going to be revenge. He was saying that shit before any of this even happened. He just found another way to justify it.
Anybody that talks that rhetoric, Josh and Gary, I want to go on record. Anybody that talks that rhetoric like they talked about, there's going to be revenge, more to get them back, they're a piece of shit. And I don't talk like that normally, man, but I'm just telling you right now, that's where this has gotten. Like I said, didn't even know the guy, but the way they're talking and the way they've turned this into some kind of political game is shame on them, man. They're destroying a person's life, the legacy of an individual's life, by trying to make it political. And it's shame on them, man. They shouldn't do that. It's just wrong. It's just wrong, man.
And then at the memorial service, Trump gets up there and basically says, I hate my opponent. I hate him. I hate him.
I felt so bad for Charlie Kirk's wife.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw her speech. She went up there and she was the responsible adult you would hope. Like, I would hope that I have that amount of grace and responsibility if I ever went through that. Not just that she said she forgave her husband's killer, but she said the things that a leader should say. You don't beat hate with hate. Violence never is, the right answer to violence. Like, she said all those things that was her husband, right? Everybody in that building, nobody could possibly have been hurting as bad as she was.
Right.
And yet she went up there and gave a message of actual love and anti-violence. And then at the same event, Stephen Miller's basically calling for violence. Trump says, I do hate my opponents. Like, they disrespected Charlie Kirk's wife.
The crowd cheers at all of them.
Although, I think this all ties into their so-called tough guy image, right? They're trying to be tough guys. And I challenge any one of them to a boxing match or whatever. I mean, they think this talk makes them tough. They think if they use a cuss word or two and they do all that, it makes them tough, but it actually makes them weak, man. It makes them weak because they have no response other than to say that they're going to get revenge. Okay, that's an easy response, right? Didn't take much thought to that, right? Hey, how are we going to make things better for everyone, not how you're going to get revenge? So it's just part of their tough guy talk and their professional wrestling mantra that they're all trying to pick up now that Donald Trump has made popular. And they're all trying to be professional wrestlers now, man. They blow off at the mouth. They cause a big scene. And then after it's all over with, they walk through the hallways and they go behind the curtain and say, damn, these people believe this shit's real, right? So, I mean, it's just crazy, man. I don't know when people are going to wake up and see that this is all a big facade on their side, this tough guy image and all this garbage, man. And it's like, jeepers creepers, at some point, man, wake up. Professional wrestling's not real, right? I mean, it's good entertainment, but it's not real wrestling.
I thought it was real when I was like 10.
Yeah.
Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
I would.
Those guys, man. Stan Lane, Steve Kern, Billy Dundee. I mean, Jesse the Body Ventura, all those guys. And I believed it when I was 12 years old or 10. But, as an adult, it's good entertainment. It's like a soap opera, but that's what it is. It's just it's a grown-up soap opera, right? It's an adult soap opera. And it's like, jeepers creepers, man. When will people wake up and realize this is not real life?
Can you guys hold through a break? You're listening to the Snyder Report. I'm Gary Snyder. We'll be right back.
Fort Wayne's national award-winning top haunt to open now. through the first weekend of November with Blackout, the last weekend, but you will save time and money buying the RSVP timed tickets online. Hysterium.com.
All right, this is the part of the Snyder Report where we thank our sponsors, and we have a growing list. So let's start with Robin Winston. Robin has been there when we first sent out our first email, 147 subscribers. We're now over 108,000. So thank you, Robin Winston, and helping us get the podcast going in the right direction. Next up is our good friend, former Congresswoman Jill Long Thompson. Her book, Across the Aisle, Why Bipartisanship Works for America. Get that anywhere you buy your books. Also, former two-term governor, two-term U.S. Senator Evan Bayh. Evan has been a sponsor of the newsletter, now jumps on board with the podcast. Congressman Andre Carson. Congressman Carson has been there from the start. We're glad to have him over here on the newsletter now. He needs your help to win re-election next year, so make sure you support Congressman Carson. Next up, State Representative Cherish Pryor. Cherish has been there from the start on the newsletter, joining us on the podcast now. So is State Senator Greg Taylor. I want to thank Senator Taylor for all of his support through the years. Next, we have a couple of new sponsors. First up is Indiana Citizen. You want to check out their new project, One Heartbeat Away. Do Christian nationalists have an agenda for Indiana? You know, all you have to do is look at the lieutenant governorship and you can see right away that they do. So thank you, Indiana Citizen. Next up is Jump Laundry. You can visit them at jumplaundry.com. They have home pickup. They do your dry cleaning, wash and fold with, I might add, no judgments, and next day service. So if you're in a crunch for time, you don't want to do your own laundry, get a hold of Jump Laundry at jumplaundry.com or at 317-740-5011. And they will take care of all of your laundry needs.
Washington politicians came to Indiana to get us to cheat and redraw our legislative maps. They want you to spend millions so they can rig the system and silence your voice. Hoosiers play fair. We don't need their meddling. We need our elected officials focusing on what we need most, making our lives better, lowering taxes, and bringing down the cost of energy and groceries. So tell your legislators, don't let Washington insiders rig our elections. Solve real problems and earn our votes.
Welcome back to the Snyder Report. I am your host, Gary Snyder. With me tonight is Dr. Terry Goodin and Josh Lowry. Next thing I wanted to move on to, because I just found this another just absolutely insane thing that came out of the pie hole of our lieutenant governor. He wants to build with taxpayer dollars a Charlie Kirk Unity Bridge.
So, Gary, am I supposed to clap or am I supposed to be in awe? I mean, like, anything this guy says out of the lieutenant governor's office now does not surprise me at all. He's a Christian nationalist, which tells me that he's a terrorist. Christian nationalists are no less a terrorist in the Christian faith than the Taliban are terrorists in the Muslims, right? They're the same thing, the same cloth. They believe they want to turn to violence to try to get their way. So why would I even care about anything that guy says? I mean, you know, it makes no sense.
Well, because he's the lieutenant governor. You were almost lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
So he is the lieutenant governor of the state. And,
right.
And what he says, I mean, may seem batshit crazy sometimes, but he has the bully pulpit and the credentials, official credentials, to back it up, Josh.
So the idea of a unity bridge in honor of Charlie Kirk is not actually in honor of Charlie Kirk. Like I saw something that said, here's Charlie Kirk in his own words. And again, So when anybody tries to take this out of context, the death of Charlie Kirk was horrific. I oppose it completely, right? But he himself said horribly racist things. You can't build a unity bridge and say that that was really like in his honor, because that's not what he even wanted, right? Like that was not, look, he said some, especially about black women, right? He said some really,
Brainless.
really bad stuff about their processing abilities and stuff. So like, we can't really say,
when I get on a
together.
plane, when he questions the pilots if they're black, are they really qualified? I mean, you can go down the line. There was nothing unity about this guy.
Here's the kind of unity bridge that Terry Goodin would like to talk about. It's the unity bridge of building another bridge across the river from Cincinnati and into Indiana, right? So we wouldn't have to fight the traffic going over into Kentucky to try to get into the games, the Cincinnati Reds or whoever we're going to see, the Bengals or the Reds. So we're going to talk about bridges. Let's talk about real bridges, man. Let's not talk about fake political BS that he's spewing out of his, as Gary says, pie hole.
Well, Josh, and you do a great job of pointing out the affordability issues that Hoosiers are facing today, and the cuts that the state and federal government have put on working people. And then he wants to turn around and spend taxpayer money on something like this.
Yeah. So from the beginning, not once when Micah Beckwith has talked about fiscal conservatism or fiscal responsibility has a word that's come out of his mouth been believable. Because at the same time that he will talk about having to cut things, local government services, whatever, he went and bought a luxury SUV with taxpayer money. He wants to build a bridge. Like every time he says there should be cuts, it's for someone else.
Josh, he wants you to be cut, but not him, right?
Yeah. For him, it's not about whether or not there is the money to pay for something. It's whether or not Micah Beckwith thinks something should be paid for. And those are two different things. Like, I think we've seen this time and time again.
He's a welfare queen, man, living off the government dole.
There are some Republicans that are fiscal conservatives, right? And they'll be consistent. But I think we've also seen through the whole Trump administration and Micah Beckwith and Mike Braun that like a lot of these people, that's just an excuse to get rid of services and things that they don't want. They don't think that the government should be doing. It never had anything to do with saving money. It was, this person is getting a benefit that I don't think they should get. So we're going to cut that. Micah Beckwith can drive a nice SUV or build a giant unity bridge in honor of someone that.
How about let's do this instead of spending money to build whatever they're wanting to build, a bridge or monument or whatever. How about we fund our public schools properly so that children can have an opportunity to get a good education and get a great job when they graduate from high school, instead of throwing out this thing they call the Teacher Appreciation Grant with the acronym TAG, which less than 20% of the teachers in most school corporations will be eligible to even receive. So all that was just a facade to try to divide the staff in these school corporations. It's a complete facade. A lot of school corporations aren't going to apply for the money because it's going to do nothing but cause discord and disharmony. And the legislature is going to come back and say, look, we tried to give these teachers all this money and the school corporations wouldn't even take it, right? Don't be fooled by this facade, because they'll start talking about the Teacher Appreciation Grant, Gary, as I think you pointed out before in some of your earlier writings about, hey, this is maybe they've seen the light, they haven't. They set this up for failure. And it's going to be failure, and you are correct. This was all a facade, as you would have said earlier.
And they don't care. I mean, they openly mock teachers. They openly mock just about everyone, and until they pay a price at the polls,
right?
They'll continue to do it. Is 2026, Josh, the year they pay a price?
I sure hope so. Because I'll tell you, one of the things that I think has caught a lot of us off guard, I know it has me, but it's like they keep going profession by profession and attacking professions. They went after all the union workers. They've gone after the teachers. They've gone after doctors. And at a certain point, you're just like, all right, you've had to attack someone enough that you're not going to get their vote anymore. And at least in Indiana, it hasn't hurt them. Now, I don't think it's grown their vote, I think actually what you see is people just kind of stop voting. And to their luck, I guess, or to their benefit for those Republicans, their voters are the ones that still show up. But we have such low turnout in Indiana, we don't really know what Indiana voters think. We know what a small group of Indiana voters think. But I've got to think that as long as we get the message out there of what these Republicans are doing to the taxpayers and their dollars, if they're not going to kick them back in 2026, I don't know what will make them do it.
You know, that's the $1 million question. What makes them do it? I tend to think it's economic pain, you know, and I had a semi-viral clip where I said, you know, I can't even make Hamburger Helper for under $10 now. And, you know, that should cost you about $5. If any of you out there have been poor enough to have Hamburger Helper.
Well, that and romaine noodles, I know what you're talking about. So it's like, here's the deal. The Indiana Republican Party has lied to the Hoosier voter, right? Or to Hoosier citizens. They promised lower taxes. They've raised them, right? They promised better schools. Our schools now are ranked, unfortunately, according to statistics, some of the worst in the nation, right? They promised a better life, better opportunities in life. As we've seen now, Indiana, the stats just came out. Indiana's 44th in the nation for weekly wages. Yeah, Gary, I mean, when's that economic pain going to hit? Because I think a lot of folks have kind of come to the reality of, well, this is just Indiana. This is just the way it is. Well, it shouldn't be, people. This is not the way it is in other states. Don't accept mediocrity. We can do better than that in the state of Indiana, and we must do better for our children.
Josh, anything to add?
I mean, Dr. Goodin hit it on the head about Republicans lying to voters. And that's why I think to any voter out there that, you know, I'm assuming if you listen to the Snyder Report, you're at least a pretty rational person. And I think some of us are always confused. Why do voters keep voting for this? But I'm telling you, when you go door to door and you talk to voters, a lot of what they think is not based on anything a Democrat has said or anything that's actually happening. It's on what a Republican said is happening. Mm-hmm. And that's why, you know, from caravans in 2018 to, you know,
they're
fixing inflation on day one in 2024, right? Like if the Republicans get behind something, they get the voters to believe it. And that's why, I mean, so many times we are kind of beside ourselves, but that's because the voters aren't really given real information. And well, unfortunately, one party's okay with it.
You nailed it, and Gary nailed it. Here's the deal. So this conservatism that they're selling these voters is based in tradition and patriotism, right? That's the old age conservatism, but that's not the new conservatism. The new conservatism consists of pain for those who don't have and eliminating safety nets for those who need help to be lifted up. All of that is part of the new conservatism. There's no such word of tradition. You know, as we walk through, you think about the conservatives of the past, you talk about George the Bushes and those
Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan would not make it through a primary.
No way. He would be kicked out of the Republican Party. And so here's what we've got. We've got people who it's the haves versus the have-nots. And until the have-nots, which is 99% of us in Indiana, right? Until we realize that the haves have been lying to us and they've been taking all of our money, we can't go on vacation. The number one extinction in Indiana is the family vacation, man. I've preached that forever. People can't even afford to go on vacation now. We've got to figure out how do we make life better in the state of Indiana. Mediocrity has been selling in our state and it shouldn't. It's ridiculous and we got to change it. People have got to wake up, man.
All right, before we let you guys go, what are you looking at in the next week, Josh?
So for me, everything I think goes back to this redistricting. It looks like it's probably going to happen in November, but we got to prepare for it. And then I will just tell you from like as my point, when we're talking about recruiting candidates, it's hard because nobody even knows what the congressional districts are going to be. And the other thing I'm also looking forward to, I just want to say, Dr. Goodin put down the challenge. It said, you know, for all these tough guys, he challenged them to a boxing match. I also want to say to all you tough guys out there, I challenge you to a boxing match with Dr. Goodin. I'm staying out of that, man.
Right. And Alex, challenge from
someone who has actually boxed before. You know, it's all fun and games till you get hit square in the nose.
Right. Well, you can tell by my nose that I've been hit there a couple of times. Idiot. So, hey,
You spend the rest of the round like this.
Yeah. So,
trust me on that one.
Yeah, no doubt. So, but Gary, I do want to say this in closing as we move forward. You know, the new school year has started. We're getting elbow deep into the school year, and it's been a real struggle for a lot of school corporations on trying to figure out how they're going to keep enough teachers to be able to keep the doors open because of what's going on at the legislature and the way they've defunded the education system in the state of Indiana, and also with the way insecurity in these small communities, how they've defunded the police in these communities as well. So people need to realize that. We need to start letting people realize who to blame is for all these mishaps that take place and all these missteps. And Gary, thank you so much for what you do, because you help get that word out. And it's very important that folks hear that. And as Josh said, the folks, you're very, it's a logical program. I appreciate being on here to be able to talk with you. And even Ozzy agrees with me as he's telling you, hey, listen to this guy, right?
Yeah, we're going to introduce everyone. So this is Ozzy, our new puppy. So as you can see, he's a 10-week-old Great Dane, and he has razor-sharp teeth. And so you'll see him in the background from time to time here on the Snyder Report. So Dr. Goodin, Josh, thank you very much. I am Gary Snyder. This is Ozzy, and yes, he does have a.
See you, Ozzy. See you, Gary. See you, Josh.
He does have a stuffed animal that's a black bat, and he has bitten the head off of it.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it.
This is the Snyder Report, and we are out.